Hello, Lashies and fellow listeners, and welcome to the Live, Love, and Lash podcast. I'm Catherine, your host, and today's episode, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into continuing education as well as other networking events. So, a few weeks ago, actually, it was about a month ago, the International Lash Expo was here in Glendale, Arizona. And this was the first event that I had ever been to in regards to meeting other lash artists, as well as meeting other product line owners and doing kind of like a Q&A with some of the different panelists and then taking different courses. Now, throughout my years of being a lash artist, I have taken some online trainings for different subject matter for lashes. So I've taken mega volume classes, I've taken wispy classes, I've taken an anime class. And what was really cool about the International Lash Expo, at least this one specific, was there were so many different types of courses that you could take. There was one on financing, there was one on actually providing information for somebody wanting to become an educator. There were different styling courses. There was one taught about symmetry, so making sure that the lashes that you put on one side is the same as the other. And then also kind of dealing with people who have different densities within their lash line. So, for example, if you've got somebody who's got really not very many lashes on the inner corner, which is pretty standard, and then making sure that you maintain that same amount of volume throughout the rest of the lash line, even though they may have more dense lashes towards the outside of their eye or towards the middle of the eye. So that one I found to be very helpful in trying to figure out, wait, what mapping am I going to use? And then there was also a course that involved just mapping, and it was elaborate. And when I say elaborate, it was elaborate. Elaborate. And she talked about different eye shapes. She talked about different depths of the eye. So you've got protruding eyes where the eye actually kind of comes out a little bit more from the socket. So usually the bottom eyelid doesn't cover all of the eye. So if you can see here, like I have hooded eyes. They're not deep set, but they're also not protruding. So they're, kind of an average eye shape. And the bottom lid will actually expose some of that sclera or the white part of the eye, which can become very uncomfortable for clients if you're doing under eye taping that scratches or rubs on the eye. So that can be kind of a thing to keep in mind as far as how you're going to tape, what you're going to use to tape. And then it can also offset how you actually do your mapping. So something else that was taught in that course was using a ruler, and it actually maps the distance here, the distance here, the distance here, and a bunch of other measurements that basically allows you to map out the most amazing sets that you will ever produce. And it helps you to accentuate the best parts of your client's eyes, face, and she actually has a breakdown. She actually has a course on her website of what sequence you should be utilizing in order to say, hey, so it's this eye shape, then it's protruding versus deep set, then it's brow bone. So like she has a whole sequence of how you order it in regards to how you're going to be doing your mapping. And then she also has a lot of intricate techniques for symmetry. So we all know one eye is not equivalent to the other eye. Our eyes are sisters, they're not twins. So one eye is going to be a little bit different than the other eye, but in order to compensate for that difference, she actually goes into depth of how to do that. And if you're interested, her Instagram handle is Lashes by Reb, R-E-B. So it's LASHES BYREB. And she's super sweet. She's very knowledgeable, and she has a very profound presence when you're just in the room with her, which is so cool. And she also has her own product line as well. So definitely be on the lookout for her stuff. I definitely foresee her being a leader in the lash industry, maybe a few years down the line. Another really cool thing about the expo or any exhibition event that you might go to for lashes is the networking. So I met quite a few people. A lot of them were from Tucson, which I'm in Scottsdale, and then some of them were from different states in the United States. And then I actually met she's now a friend. Her name is Nishi, and she owns a company up in Canada. And she's a really cool lady. I talked to her a little bit. I bought one of her products. But it's really cool to get to experience different areas and how the lash industry is there. So for example, one of the girls that I met, she lives in a very small town. And you would think that in a very small town, you wouldn't get very many clientele, but she said that the very few people who are lash artists there can't be busier. Like they literally have to turn people away, and there's so many people wanting lashes that there's not enough providers for doing lashes, which when I was living in Flagstaff, which is also a small town, I felt like I had the same issue where there were a handful of qualified, very good lash artists. Not to toot my own horn, but I was one of them. It's kind of fun being a big fish in a in a small pond. But I was so busy. I would get clients from the university. I would get clients from all the way on the other side of town, which for those of you who don't know, Flagstaff is a pretty small town. You can get from one end to the other in less than 10 minutes. There were surrounding towns that would come, and I'd get clients from there. And that was for both massage and lashes, but today is kind of just geared more towards lashes. And it was really, really interesting to hear that there are also other places, like, for example, here, now that I'm in Scottsdale, the market is so flooded with lash artists that I see all the time on these groups, people looking for lash artists, and there's 70 responses before I can even get to it. And it was only posted like an hour prior. So that just goes to show a big city isn't necessarily a better option for you if A, you're not good at marketing, and B, if you're not able to be super responsive and on social media constantly monitoring these chats, because nobody's going to want to scroll through 70 comments and then go, oh yeah, this person, I'm going to go with her. She's going to go with like the first 5. There's a statistic that says if you're searching for something on Google, most people aren't going to go past the first page, which is like 15 or 16. Like there's a few sponsored ads, and then below that there's like 15 or 16 additional links. So if you don't make it in that top 16 or 20, you're never going to be seen. And so there's a whole aspect of marketing that we'll get into in another episode that really will set you apart from those 70 other lash artists that are competing for this one person who might be on the complete opposite side of town. So for here in Arizona, Scottsdale is about 30 to 45 minutes away from like Goodyear or Peoria. And during rush hour, that can be up to an hour and a half, which is brutal. I'll be honest, it is brutal. And because I also do mobile services, if I have to get to a client who's on the other side of town and it's during rush hour traffic, I'm usually late. You know, no shame. It's just how it is. I do my best to try to schedule enough time in between. However, sometimes I will be late due to accidents and traffic and just the general rush hour traffic that happens to bog down our roads. So I digressed. Let's get back into the um, expo and continuing education. So the expo was really great because you had so many different people doing education. I believe there was like 30 or 40 courses that you could potentially have gone to. Some of the ones that I chose to go to were definitely more geared towards the direction that I was trying to go. So I took a course on financing. I took the course that I forget her Instagram handle, but her name is Dina. And she taught the course on providing the tools for people to become educators and to become the best educator that they possibly can be. And her course was the best course I've ever taken. It was the best course at the expo, and it was the best course I've ever taken to further my career as a lash artist and as an educator. She was so thorough, and there wasn't a single moment in that course, which it was only supposed to be an hour, and we ended up doing like an hour and a half. And she went over different learning styles, different teaching styles. There was a exercise that we did on a piece of paper. She had her slideshow, but she actually was engaging with the audience, whereas every single other course that I took, there was little to no engagement. And a lot of that had to do with her presence. She was powerful. She was very powerful. And she told her story. She told why she was there, why she became an educator, and then she told how the tips and tricks that she was providing were actually things that she used in her practice to get to where she was now. And most people don't do that. Most people will say, oh, yeah, go ahead and do this, and this. Well, there's a difference between a trusted practice that somebody has actually implemented in their business and somebody just saying, oh, yeah, if you do this, you'll reach, six figures. Well, I don't know if that's true because I don't know that you have actually implemented it within your business. So there's this trust factor that she had that a lot of the other educators didn't have. And I'm not saying that they all did that or didn't do that, but I'm saying that her presence and the way that she presented it was much more engaging and it was much more enjoyable to be a part of, that I didn't mind spending the extra half hour there. And then at the end, we took a group photo. I was actually able to talk to her and meet her. And I actually told her, hey, this was the best class at the expo. And of course, she had her hype woman, her mom was there, and she was recording stuff. And I had told her that it was the best course that I had taken there. And she was very flattered and really enjoyed that. And then she had me do it again so that she could record it for her social media pages, which I think is great because as an educator or as a lash artist, it's really, really, really important nowadays to get that feedback from your clients and your customers because that allows other people to trust that, hey, she knows what she's talking about. She's got really good content and you can't go wrong with getting an education from her. So, that being said, the worst class that I took, I hate to throw them under the bus, but it was the finance class. And the reason that it was the worst class was because it wasn't engaging. There, most people didn't have questions. And the questions that I had, I actually didn't even think up. until I saw them out on the exhibition floor and I was talking to them one-on-one. And their course in particular was in the big exhibition hall where, you know, there's so many seats for all of the participants and attendees, but only like a fraction of the seats were filled because that's not necessarily a topic that most people want to know about or learn about. And for me, because I've been my own boss for 7 years and I've been doing my own taxes for 7 years, it's more of a validation that I'm doing things correctly, which I may need some, review and look back into to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly now that I've added a product line and have to charge sales tax and make sure that that gets incorporated into the taxes that I pay. So it doesn't hurt to have a second opinion, and it doesn't hurt to have a financial professional take a look at your books just to make sure that everything looks good and that you're doing things legally to ensure that if at one day you want to grow your business to a point where you could sell it, you can do so and it looks enticing to somebody who wants to buy it. Whereas if you have a handwritten journal, let me show you my journal. I picked this up from my parents' house. So this was part of my finance book from last year. Handwritten ledgers with my receipts and checks stapled into the page. I hand wrote all of my expenses and all of my income, and then I went back and highlighted specific things. And this, it was specifically the expenses. But like, this is messy and it's a lot of work. And I had at one point switched over to QuickBooks, which is a lifesaver if you are constantly refreshing it. I hadn't looked at it in a couple months, and I went back to look at it around November, December, and it had logged me out, which means it lost connection to my bank account. So those couple of months where it was not synced, it didn't log any of my transactions, which means no expenses, no income report. So I found that very frustrating. And you have to pay monthly for this subscription. So I paid an additional 4 months of use that I didn't even use. And that ended up causing me more work in the end anyways. So in my opinion, if you're not good with finances and upkeeping on your income and expense reports and your books, hire a CPA. Hire somebody who can maintain it for you and monitor your finances. And that was my biggest takeaway from the course itself, was that even though you might not be making six figures or more, it's okay to ask for help. And I've actually been taking additional continuing education on top of having gone to the expo. So throughout the year, I take business courses, I take personal development courses. I will read and listen to audiobooks about personal growth and health and development. And all of that will not only help you individually with relationships with your friends, family, significant others, but it'll also help you with your relationships with your clients, your potential coworkers or employees, if you end up having employees and being a spa or salon owner. And then the most important one is with yourself and finding out why it is you're doing what you're doing and continuing to remind yourself of why it is that you're actually doing it. And a lot of people lose that sight and will quit. They'll give up right before they actually start to make it to that next level because they're afraid, they're not marketing, or there's something missing in their strategy where if they just implemented this one or two little things in their day-to-day activity, like let's say posting on your social media, you would grow so much faster than by continuing to do what you do. And that's one of the reasons why I'm developing a coaching course, and it would be a one-on-one to start to kind of see how you're growing, what's working for you, what's not working for you, and then eventually grow to a community where not only am I helping you, but also other lash artists and other business owners in the beauty industry are able to help you grow, answer your questions if I'm not able to get to it right then and there, and then help you get to a point where you can be financially free. So that's another part of my coaching that I'm starting to implement is helping people with their finances, getting out of debt, making a simple budget so that they're not going and spending excessive amounts on certain things that they don't really need. Starbucks. I know you guys like your Starbies, but an $8 coffee could equate to, let's say, if you have a coffee once a day, every single day for an entire year, and it's $8, that's $2,920. And that doesn't include tip. So that's almost $3,000 just from coffee. Now, if you were to do something different, like make your coffee at home, where it costs a fraction of that, it costs, let's say, $2, you're still saving $6 every single day. So that is, let me get to it here. I'm doing the math on my phone right now. So $6 times 365 days is $2,190. So you could be saving 2 grand on just your coffee if you just switch to coffee at home. I mean, I don't personally drink coffee, so I don't know if those numbers are 100% accurate, but that's a very tangible thing that you could end up putting back into your business rather than getting your pumpkin spice latte, which if you're a pumpkin spicer, good for you. I'm not. No judgment whatsoever, but these are just like very simple things that you can just change in your day-to-day routine that will help save you money in the long run. So you can grow your business a lot faster. You could invest back into your business and actually get better quality products or furniture or perhaps a better wardrobe for yourself. And that was actually something that was brought up at the expo by one of the owners of a very big lash company. So Paris Lash Academy it's a very big company. If you haven't heard of it by now, I'm pretty sure you're living under a rock. But for those of us who don't live under a rock, which I do live under a rock, but mostly about the rest of the world that's going on in the rest of the world. In the lash industry, I feel like I'm pretty in the know. There's definitely things that I can gain and grow from and learn, because I'm not an expert in every single person and every single brand that's out there, but I am growing, I am learning, and I'm open to trying new products, trying new lines, meeting new people, going to these conventions and meeting people who are above me because that's where you grow. If you're in a room full of people that know less than you, you're not in the right room because it's great to know so much information and be very knowledgeable about what you're doing, but that doesn't get you to grow. That doesn't get you to the next level of whatever part of this industry that you want to be a part of, whether that's having your own product line or having your own spa or salon suites or becoming an educator. Great. Or if you want to stay a full-time lash artist, there again, absolutely nothing wrong with any of those paths. Everybody's desire is different. Everybody's capacity is different. Though I do believe that with the right resources or being resourceful, you could get and gain anything you want. I truly believe that. I personally would never try to become a president of any sort of politics. However, if that's your thing, get the resources, go out there and work hard for it. And so let's say you want to stay a full-time lash artist. Again, nothing wrong with that. But you are limited by how much you can make, by how many hours you're able to give. And after so many years of working 12-hour days or more and working crazy hours, like I took a client at 5 a.m. and worked all the way until midnight one day. And this was around holiday time. So clients were swarming in, like, I need my lashes for the Christmas holiday. Of course, I'm going to try to get them in. I was dead the next day, which meant that I wasn't able to give all of me to my family and to my significant other. And that only hurt me because I was not taking care of that relationship the way that I wanted to. Instead, I was focused on making money and making my clients happy. And there's nothing worse than fighting and being distraught and being frustrated that your partner and your friends and your family don't understand what you're going through because you're a business owner and because you're your own boss and you have X, Y, and Z to manage. Yes, there's all of that, but you also have a duty to yourself and to the people that you love because at the end of the day, money's not going to be there for you. The people who you love and care for are going to be there for you. And if you don't have anybody, maybe, take a look at the things that you're doing, the things that you're saying, whether or not you're providing the time and the space and the energy that you want to show up as for that relationship and for that person. Because I guarantee you, if you're not, you're probably fighting, you're probably arguing, you're probably having really tough conversations with them and trying to figure out your priorities. And it's hard. Life is hard. Relationships are hard. Work is hard. Being your own boss is hard. But that doesn't mean that you can't have balance. And so that kind of shifts and ties back into what I was talking about a little bit earlier of your wardrobe. So PLA, Paris Lash Academy, the owner, her name is Michelle Nguyen. I believe that's how it's pronounced. And she is from Vietnam. And so she comes from a very small village, and she has been able to, as she grew her business, give back to her community where she came from. She's provided jobs to them. She actually opened up her own manufacturer there. So that way she was able to give people jobs and reinvest back into the community and help them grow along with her growth, which has been I find it very inspirational. I think it's amazing that somebody can do that and help the community that they came from. But one of the things that she discussed was having a better wardrobe. Now, I've mentioned this before in one of my other episodes, and I have mentioned it a couple of times on a social media platform where someone was saying, hey, I want tips and tricks for getting better clients or getting more clients. One of the things that I posted, which I got from other lash artists who are higher up and more successful, is dress better. Don't show up in a hoodie and ripped jeans or a hoodie and booty shorts with flip-flops, or show up in your pajamas with messy hair. It looks bad to your clients, and it actually keeps you from getting those higher price tag clients. And I'm not saying that every single client is going to be this way, because I do have an example of a client who is willing to pay me. She actually pays me above and beyond what I charge because she knows I'm worth it, because I show up for her. And her and I have had this conversation too of sometimes I'll show up in a hoodie and jeans because I was rushing around and that was just what I happened to have grabbed. And I will often shower at the gym and come straight from the gym to work. So that was just what I had access to and what I had available to me. And I'm also slowly growing that part of my wardrobe of better business outfits to dress for the job that I want and deserve. And that doesn't mean wear a ball gown and heels. If that's your thing, cool. Make that your brand. That's certainly not my thing. I dress for comfort and efficiency. So for somebody that might look like scrubs, nothing wrong with scrubs. Get yourself a really nice pair of scrubs. That doesn't mean go to Walmart and get the t-shirt bag scrubs that make you look boxy and aren't very flattering. You can find nice ones there. I'm not saying that you can't, but again, dress nicely. Ripped jeans, booty shorts, t-shirt with your shoulders hanging out, hoodies that are stained. It's not a good look. And a lot of people want to know that the person that's taking care of them takes care of themselves. Because there's nothing worse than showing up to an appointment and the person has stains up and down their shirt. They maybe forgot to zip up their fly, or they're wearing sandals. A, that's not sanitary. And B, I don't want to know what your toes look like. If you're doing my lashes, A, I'm probably not going to see them. But B, I don't want to see your foot fungus. And if you don't have nail polish or you don't get pedicures and your heels are all rough and scraggly and the cuticles are all rough and chipping away, and I know you know what I'm talking about, your client's not going to like it. I don't like it. I personally don't go and get manis and pedis. I try very hard to do my own nails and toenails. It takes me a couple of months before I'm ready to do my nails again because my nails get kind of trashed from removing the gel because I use gel. However, it looks nicer. If you're going to be on film and you need to have close-ups and your hands are part of that, again, you're going to want nice looking hands because your general audience wants to know that you take care of yourself and you're taking care of the client or you're taking care of the products and that it's sanitary and clean. People don't often think that raggedy nails, super long nails that aren't even, the cuticles are all dried out and crusty. It doesn't look good. And in this industry, we are lash artists. One of our main jobs is to help the appearance of our clients. And that is done by lashes. We are making them more beautiful. We're helping them feel more beautiful. And if we look like a troll, no offense, I was this person too. I only recently started getting lashes because I thought that I couldn't find anybody who would do them accurately because I kept having irritations. One time my whole eye swelled up. They were itchy, they were bothering me, and I was a picker. So I thought lashes aren't for me, I just can't maintain them. But then I found a good artist who actually does them correctly the way that I'm asking for, and I look better. I don't look like I'm as tired. Some of the skin on my eyelid, because I have hooded eyes, gets covered from the lashes. I do also wear glasses, which does help a little bit as far as covering some of that. But that's a vision thing. I do need them to see. But the courses that they teach you isn't just about the skill. It's also about your confidence and your courage to do something different, to possibly be something different. If you don't want to be that, cool. No worries. Your route is different than my route is different than their route. What you want to be versus what I want to be is probably much different. And that's okay. There's no right answer to life. Just don't go around murdering people because that's not nice. And you'll probably end up in jail. And then you're not doing anybody's lashes there. Well, I don't know, you might be. But I don't think they'll allow tweezers, so good luck. Anyways, so there's a lot that goes into these events. And one of the really cool things about it was a couple of the other brands actually put together events in addition to the actual expo. So before the expo itself actually started, there was a happy hour meet and greet before, which was really cool. I got to meet some really cool lash artists. I got to really meet some brand owners and ask them questions, which helped guide me in where I need to be, as well as give me validation that I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm doing the right things. I just got to do a couple more things to increase my audience, to increase my visibility, and to be able to grow. Because that's the whole idea of life is you grow. I mean, a flower starts as a seed and grows to become this beautiful flower. Maybe it's a rose or a sunflower. Both of them are my favorites. And if we're not growing, then we're just staying stagnant. And stagnation doesn't lead to anything. It just leads to more frustration. It leads to potentially poverty. It leads to losing clients. And it also leads to not growing your skills. And if you get clients who want a specific thing and you can't provide it for them because you're not educated on it, they're going to leave. They're going to go and find somebody else. So you're losing potential customers that could be the make or break of you paying your bills. So that being said, the expo was a catalyst for me in growing. And one of the speakers was actually the MC, and her name is Andy, and she is actually Lash Withdrawal, and she's also Light Heart Andy. And she said something that I've heard before from other business courses that I've taken, and it was that we're not expecting perfection. We're looking for progress. And it doesn't have to be 50% progress. It doesn't have to be 20% progress. It's 1%. You look for 1% progress. How can you be a little bit better today? How can you grow by 1% today? And that stuck with me. And after her speech, I went up to the desk and I asked, how can I become an exhibitor? And they reached out to the owner or the moderator who was putting together the event. And I actually ended up bumping into her later on that day. And I didn't even want to wait for a response. I went up to her and said, hey, how can I become an exhibitor? And she said, well, for this particular event today and tomorrow, we're sold out. We were sold out 40 days after we launched our tickets. So I said, okay, well, you just announced that you have another event in September in Miami. How can I become an exhibitor there? And she said, I will send you an email. You got to sign a couple documents and then you got to pay your deposit. So I paid my deposit, I signed my documents, and I became an exhibitor for the Miami International Lash Expo. That's September 15th and 16th. And I hope to see you there because I'm going to have some really great giveaways and I'm also going to have some really great deals on my lash trays. I've been doing a little bit of revamping on my trays and the design of the labels, as well as have better packaging for my adhesives and better labels for them. So I'm really hoping to see you there. I'm really hoping that you'll love my products and that you'll come and check me out. But that growth was big for me. And that was me taking that 1% step and having that courage to ask the question. If she had said, "Oh, sorry, you're not a big enough brand yet to be an exhibitor," I'd been like, "Okay, what are the steps do I need to take to become a big enough brand to be an exhibitor at your event?" So the worst someone's going to say to you is no. Don't take it personally. When you take it personally and get your emotions involved, it sets you back. It actually prevents you from growth. It puts you in a mindset of lack. And instead of being in a mindset of gratitude and abundance, you're actually stumping your own growth. Yes, I said stumping. It takes you out of the mindset of creativity and artistry and puts you in a negative spiral, in a lower vibration and a lower frequency, and you're not able to manifest the things that you want in your life. You're not able to receive the things that you're ready for or that you think you're ready for because your body is energetically not taking it in. It's rejecting it because like attracts like. A high vibration takes a high vibration. A low vibration takes a low vibration. Things like hate, anger, distrust, anxiety, all of those are lower frequency behaviors and emotions. And when we're in those mindsets, that's a mindset of scarcity. And so you're not going to be taking in those things that you want. And jumping back to what Michelle said of, dressing for the job that you want and that you deserve, that's part of it. When you put on your uniform, whether it's scrubs, whether it's a nice dress or a nice blouse and some pants, it doesn't matter, but you need to show up in an authentic way so that you can receive all that you want. And I know that this sounds wooey and might not be for you, and that's okay. But I'm telling you, I have seen it work. I have shown up to a client's house in shorts, like jean shorts, flip-flops, a t-shirt, and a hoodie, and I didn't get tipped. And this was a regular client. Next time I go, I showed up in my nice blouse and nice pants, nice shoes. The shoes were maybe not as nice as I could have been, but I'm working on that. I'm working on my wardrobe. They were Vans, okay, but at least they were laced up. They're a little bit nicer than flip-flops, and they're definitely a lot nicer than my beat up tennis shoes or gym shoes. So I got a better tip. I was able to get more out of the interaction with the person than if I had just shown up in the jean shorts, t-shirt, hoodie, and flip-flops. So again, I've seen it work. It does work. People value you more when you value yourself. And when you dress for the job, when you dress nicely, you're on the job. You show up, you give your all, you communicate with your clients. And on the last episode, we briefly talked about disclosing things about yourself and being authentic with your client and sharing your struggles and your ups and your downs. Whether you believe that you should or shouldn't, you showing up authentically and being there for them, you're going to have a better interaction, you're going to have a better relationship with them, and they're more likely to give you bigger tips, and they're more likely to come back if and or when, key on the when, because you should raise your prices at this point. They're going to keep coming to you because they like you. They want to know more about you. They want to be along your journey too, because you're showing up authentically. You're giving them more value in the appointment than just the lashes, whether it be you being their therapist, which, yes, we kind of are, but also stay within your realm. Don't give advice that you probably shouldn't be giving. And know that they're going to appreciate you a lot more if you're showing up for them and showing up in a way that they can relate to, showing up in a way that they see you as the expert. Again, if you're showing up in ratty clothes, stained PJs, they're probably not going to respect you as much as if you were to dress a little bit nicer. That being said, you set your boundaries, close the day, end at the time that you say you're going to end, take your outfit off. And I'm not saying you change who you are because you don't want to put on a front for people. And believe me, I have done this over and over and over again, where I show up differently depending on the person that it is that I'm seeing. And I am on the autistic spectrum. I potentially have undiagnosed ADHD, and both of those things combined, when we put on a front, it's called masking. And a lot of artists have that trait. They have that masking trait where they put on a front, they put on a persona that they think that they should be. And I felt this a lot when I first started as a massage therapist. I started at Massage Envy, and then I transferred over to a medical spa while I was taking my courses to become an esthetician. And the medical spa was a higher end spa, and I felt myself gravitating more towards changing my appearance, changing the way that I do things, because that's what I was expected to do, not because that's who I was, not because that's who I am. And I was miserable. And I don't want you to feel that way. I want to show you that you can still be you. You can still show up as yourself in a nicer outfit. You can still show up 100% authentic as you are, regardless of what's going on in your life. You take those emotions, put them in your mint jar. I'm looking at my mints. So you can put it in your mint jar, collect it when you leave. It's that simple. I do know it's easier said than done. And especially if you're going through something very traumatic, very hard, like a breakup or a death, or you're facing financial issues or housing issues, whatever it may be. Stress is stress is stress. What we do with it defines who we are as a person, and it will define how you show up for the people in your life, whether it be yourself, your clients, your friends, your family, your significant other, your kids, and ultimately how your work gets done. When I don't feel good, when I feel down on myself, when I'm depressed or have anxiety, my work suffers. I don't produce the quality of sets that I would like to produce. I don't follow the same protocol that I would normally. And that not only hurts me, but it hurts the client. The client is expecting the set that you have been doing or the set that they are asking for. And if you're not providing that same quality service, they're going to notice. And whether it be once or twice or 3 times or 5 times or 10 times, they're eventually going to stop wanting to come to you because you're not showing up the way that you were showing up. And a lot of people are understanding. They're not going to necessarily say, oh, she messed up my lashes once, I'm never going back to her. Most people are willing to give you a couple of chances. But if you continue to do it and you continue to show up in a way that isn't authentic, you're not able to maintain the clients. You're not able to maintain that workload. And then you'll start resenting your clients. You'll start resenting this work. You'll forget why you're doing it in the first place, why you love doing it, and you'll quit. You'll leave. You'll do something else. And my job as a coach, as an educator, is to help remind you why you did what you did, why you became a lash artist, why, if you're independent, you became independent, why you potentially want to go independent and gain that freedom that comes with being an independent owner. It also entails showing you what it takes to maintain that status, which means doing all the things so that you can be the thing. I just learned that today. I've been taking a class from Grant Cardone. It's a 3-day course, and he's had a bunch of speakers and motivational speakers and a couple of famous people that came and talked. And that was one of the things that got brought up, is that people want what you have, but they don't want to do what you did to get what you have. And as a coach, as an educator and a trainer, I'm trying my best. I'm doing my best to lay it all out there, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that it takes to become a lash artist, an independent business owner. If you want to grow further, help you grow further. And it shows you what it takes to do this. And it's not just the knowledge of doing lashes, because anybody can go on YouTube, watch a bunch of videos on the application process of doing lashes, and start doing lashes in less than a week, maybe a couple days. And I know some people who did do that, and they're great lash artists, but they didn't want to continue to grow. They didn't want to continue to take courses. They didn't want to continue to grow their business knowledge and skills. And so they're stagnant. And I wish the best for them. I wish that they would grow and continue to take classes, but I can't force anybody to do it. I can only suggest and offer my feedback and offer better solutions, especially if they come to me and are like, hey, I'm struggling with this, this, and this. Well, then I say, okay, why don't you take this course? Or why don't you take this course? Or maybe you should ask a CPA about this particular finance question. Because I will never pretend to be an expert in finances, because I'm not an expert in finances. I am working my way towards being an expert in finances, but I'm not there yet. And I have no problem saying that. Just like I have no problem saying that I'm not quite an expert yet in anime sets. I took a course, but I have yet to get any clients to do anime sets. So I can practice all day long on a mannequin, but we all know mannequin work is vastly different than working on the general population. So again, courses, education, making yourself better, not only for you, but for everybody involved in your life. Clients, your business is a relationship, yourself, your friends, your family, and your significant other. And this is my last point that I want to make, because I did do an episode about relationships. I've made a lot of mistakes with relationships. And one of the biggest mistakes I have made is blaming somebody else for my issues. And I have learned that how you react matters. Yes, we are human. Yes, we're going to have reactions, especially if you've been through trauma and awful experiences that you wish you could rewind and never go through. But that affects your partner. And this business is all consuming if you let it. Set yourself boundaries, work on yourself, make a routine for yourself so that way you have time to spend with yourself, have time to spend on your business and with your clients, and also set time for you and your family and your significant other. And I can't stress this enough. What stays at work, or what happens at work stays at work. Because if you bring what happens at work into your house, it's going to cause turmoil, it's going to cause stress. And oftentimes that's going to put a damper on your relationship with your significant other and your family. And let's say Susie comes in and she's bawling her eyes out. She just broke up with her boyfriend, but she is committed. She is here for her lash appointment. Go Susie. But in all seriousness, stop crying because it's going to ruin your lashes. If you talk about what Susie talked about to your family, that loses trust, especially if at some point she realizes that you were talking about her to your family. Nobody wants to be talked about in a negative way. And as artists and therapists, I say that with air quotes for those of you not watching it on YouTube, as quote unquote therapists, we take on traumas. And this is something that I had learned from the course at International Lash Expo about the micro traumas that we collect and take on from our clients. They bring their stuff to us, and while they might not be reliving and rehashing every single detail of what happened, you're still taking on that energy. We are energetic beings. And if they're coming in at a low vibration with negative stuff, and you're dealing with that all day, every single day, you're going to continue to build and build and build and build all that stress of not your stuff. So you got to let it go. You got to find a way of releasing that energy, of reminding yourself that it's not yours, and remembering who you are. Because it can be very, very easy to lose yourself in this industry. It can be very all-consuming in that it can change you as a person, as a service provider, as a friend, as a partner. And I urge you to recognize when you're outside of your authentic self. And that looks like writing down what you value. Do you value being on time for an appointment every single time? Do you value respect, honesty, and trust? Do you value your time with setting that boundary of I work 9 to 6 every day or 5 days a week? Stick to it if that's what you value. Do you value providing a specific type of an environment? Like here in my office, I have a water fountain. I have a diffuser that always has peppermint because that's my favorite. I always have a thing of mints. I always have either nice, relaxing, fun music or a fun podcast. And I always try to make my clients feel comfortable, welcomed. And I also have a sign on my wall that says welcome. I'll write their name and then have a beautiful day. That's my catchphrase is have a beautiful day. So it's the little things that add to your service, that add to your life, and remember why you do it. And never stop learning. Because when we stop learning, we stop growing. And when we stop growing, we're dying. Not to end on a morbid note, but keep growing, keep learning. Come to the International Lash Expo. That's September 15th and 16th in Miami. It's going to be so amazing. It's going to be so fun. The last one, there was a fun cocktail party. There was an electronic dancer. One of the guests brought a inflatable dragon, which was fun. And it was green and gold because it was around St. Patrick's Day. One of the hosts had hidden a pot of gold somewhere in the room, so there was that to look out for. There were 2 free drinks with your ticket purchase. I don't know what exactly is all going to be included, but what's really cool about their expos is that it's one ticket, you get access to everything. And that includes the after party, it includes any raffles, it includes literally everything. Every single class you can take. And on top of that, for those of you who are native Spanish speakers, there's going to be 40% of the courses being taught going to be taught only in Spanish. So that's really big for this industry because that's definitely something that's lacking for the community, is having and providing courses in different languages. So get your tickets. The early bird tickets end soon. I don't know what date, but it's very soon. It's $2.99. After that, it goes up to, don't quote me, $5.99, I believe. So get your tickets. Let's get you there. Let's get you learning. I may or may not be teaching a class, so be on the lookout for that. And have fun with this. Your education should be fun. Don't learn something you don't want to learn. If you don't want to learn Russian volume, don't learn Russian volume. If you want to learn anime sets, learn anime sets. Literally, there's a class for every single thing that you can think of within this industry. Until next time, Lashies, have a beautiful day. Bye.